Have you been to Express lately? People can't get enough of their clothes. They're like instant confidence boosters. The jeans come in a temp control fabric that keeps you comfortable no matter the weather. And the t-shirts, hands down, they'll feel like they're made of the softest fabric you've ever worn. And get this, the suits have stretch and look sharp. Like, what? How do they do that? Everyone's raving about the newest looks from Express. Just check out the 5-star reviews. See for yourself and shop the latest at express.com and in stores.
I'm Robert Conti, Chief of the Metropolitan Police Department, and I need your help. Dangerous driving on D.C. streets has risen dramatically, resulting in tragic fatalities. Together, we can reverse this trend. So join me in our commitment to adopt safe driving behaviors in the district. Never speed, drive impaired, or drive distracted. Too much is at stake to be careless behind the wheel, and our officers are committed to a safer community. And you should too. Please help us by ending all dangerous driving behaviors.
Here I am! And as much as it hurts me to have to admit this, last night, Hulk Hogan was the better man. But you had to be there to appreciate it. It was amazing. It was incredible. He was cat-like. He was agile. He was nimble. He had a catcher's catch can style that even yours truly, the Heartbreak Kid Shawn Michaels, quite honestly, couldn't figure out. I mean, his ring prowess was in so many ways and on so many levels superior to mine that I simply could not compete. And when it was over, even I, the evil Shawn Michaels, found myself falling victim, like so many before me, to the vicious leg drop. 1, 2, 3.
I think Shawn has indigestion. What else could it be?
Maybe it's his tongue planted firmly in his cheek.
That could be it.
Now, back to our regularly scheduled programming and back to reality.
It's the Lapsed Fan Wrestling Podcast with Jack Encarnacio and JP Sorrow.
It's still real to me, damn it.
The Lapsed Fan.
In all my years in professional wrestling, I've never seen anything like it. Oh my God! Drop kick and a beauty.
Well, it's the Lapsed Fan, man, #1 in the ring. Forget about Cesaro, we the real king of swing. When the bell goes ding, you get kicked like Ming. Thrown in the corner, make it splash like Sting. Even Jerry King will take off the crown. Nodding his head like it's D-Lo Brown. We just get low down, but we go even higher. Flip you on your head, but you no cool driver. We be spitting more knowledge, the dragon spits fire. Leave you more shocked than when Edge retires. Dropping more truth than Recon and Sniper. Bless you with a coconut, Roddy Piper. Jack and JP be like JYD. Dropping cupcakes and gloating, the brain Bobby. The best podcast from start to close. And if y'all benefit, here's a 5-second pose.
Boss, it's been a long road.
That it has.
And I hope you know that once we finally get there, unless we can come up with some way to extend the 2016 Patreon listener request series, so I can get my win back and we can go to a cage, I'm going to make a complete mockery out of you here on our SummerSlam 2005 show by overselling all of your jokes, by bouncing around like a Super Ball in mockery of the faux physicality of professional wrestling.
Yep.
And even though at the end of the show you may feel like ultimately you prevailed, I'm going to get to come out on the next Lapsed Fan Wrestling podcast without you present and let everybody know just how seriously I took that doing of business under the bright lights. It's Hogan, it's Michaels, It's the conclusion of the Lapsed Fan Patreon Listener Request Series 2016. Yes. It's SummerSlam 2005.
This show, so from a statistical standpoint, this show is so weird for me because for some reason I remember watching this show in an apartment that I wasn't living in for another year when this show happened. I remember two things. I remember it's just weird. I can't picture myself watching this pay-per-view, and I know I bought it. I know I bought this show, and I cannot picture where, watching it in the place that I watched it at, like in the apartment that I had in Burbank at the time.
That's bizarre.
For some reason, I always picture watching this show at in Playa del Rey, Playa del Rey.
Mm-hmm.
But I remember us talking about Matt Hardy.
Yes.
And how when they brought Matt Hardy back, how they had the chance to make a superstar, and at the time I thought they fucked it up.
Yeah. I mean, they would say he fucked it up, of course.
Right. But really, they just made this incredible fucking monster out of Edge.
Mm-hmm.
Edge was on a hot streak.
This show is bursting at the seams with shit like that.
I know.
I mean, I knew that the Lapsed Fan Solar System was looking forward to us doing this show at some point, if for nothing else than the politics behind the one-on-one meeting between Shawn Michaels and Hulk Hogan. And if you've listened to the Lapsed Fan at any length over the years, as we've talked about the political constitution of Hulk Hogan and Shawn Michaels and the WWF over the years, you know that this is a collision for the ages in terms of backstage politicking, positioning, posturing.
Well, it's also a dream match for me.
Right, on its face.
I used to do this match. This was a mega main event match in my Hasbro universe.
Sure.
Huge match.
I mean,
I had them, I had Hogan and Michaels be best friends for a while, and then when I turned Hogan heel, Michaels was his first major opponent.
I mean, unless you want to talk about Diesel, which you
good
probably
friends,
shouldn't.
better enemies.
Yeah, which you probably shouldn't. I mean,
why?
People talk about Bret, being the guy after Hogan left to WCW. Bret had already won the championship before Hogan cut the deal, and we know this. Sure, they put it on Diesel for a year and tried to build the company around him, but it was really Shawn Michaels at WrestleMania 12 in 1996, and they played into this in the run-up to this match in the storyline, that the WWF first kind of handed the ball to in a way that felt like a direct response to, this is our guy. If Hulk Hogan's going to be your guy through all of this, then this is going to be our guy.
Right.
And you had Shawn Michaels with that chip on his shoulder throughout the course of his run, so much so that I think some of that, I don't want to say insecurity, but competitiveness even trickled into his interpersonal relations with Bret Hart, who he got along with relatively well when they were both similarly positioned in the early 90s in the middle of the card. So this is a culmination, and we'll talk about it, and you know that your Lapsed Fan co-chairmen are going to leave no hole unpenetrated.
No.
And, this is the only SummerSlam 2005 podcast you'll ever have to listen to.
Yep.
Just like every other fucking podcast in our archives on any other fucking show that we have serviced. And this is a challenge. This is a steep hill, and I've got my working shoes on, boss. I don't know about you.
Yes.
Well, let's fucking get into it.
I'm fucking ready.
Let's fucking get into it.
Before we get into it.
But before we get into it.
So, when we were in Chicago,
yes,
we introduced the Lapsed Fan Solar System to my friend Danny Zacapa.
Yes.
Played the cop in that movie I've never seen.
Chief,
What's it called?
The Sandlot. It's a flashback
Sandlot,
scene.
thank you.
Where he says forever. That guy.
Right. So I don't think it's something we didn't tell. Well, I was funny because I was actually listening to part of our interview with him on his rooftop today, and here we talked about these rare photos these incredible photos that he generously gave us of some old wrestling pics, black and whites, the glossies, the good stuff, or so we thought. I don't think we ever disclosed because we were kind of, we didn't want to make a thing out of it at the time. But I don't think we ever disclosed that afterwards when we were back in the hotel, because we were trying to figure out how we're going to bring these back. We don't have the room. We both brought small suitcases, so we didn't have room to put 4 frames in. So we took the frames out. We took the frames off the pictures, and what did we find?
We found that these vintage wrestling pictures that apparently he had bought at an antique shop were actually just pages ripped out of Dave Meltzer's tributes book. We turned the fucking images around, and there's the page number at the bottom and columns of text, and I'm like, I know this book. I have this book.
So, but at the time, we didn't want to, we didn't want to do it. We didn't want to say anything, so we just want to, we knew he was going to come back. And so we just said, let it be what it is. So anyway, last week he gives me a call and say, you didn't know this part. Last week he gives me a call and he says, I couldn't answer the phone. And so he left the voicemail. He said, JP, I wanted to know if I could fly, if I was willing to fly you and Jack out to Chicago, would you be willing to volunteer at the opening of this shelter that I'm opening up? And, we need some entertaining guys to kind of, do this and that. And that's how we left it. So just give me a call and, maybe we can maybe you and Jack can help me out here. I said, okay. And I never got a chance to really talk to you about this. And I talked to my wife about it and she said, well, if it works out, sure. And so my parents happened to be in town this weekend. So it was never a good time to really talk to him. I was going to wait till after the weekend, but he kept calling me. And I even texted him. I said, dude, I can't talk right now. I said, my parents are in town and it's just kind of crazy. And he writes this kind of odd text, like he says, never mind. It would take me literally 60 seconds to tell you and Jack what I'm talking about to see if you're interested at all. Quite frankly, I don't care, who's visiting you. All I need is 60 seconds, but I guess I'm not worth it. And so I was kind of taken aback, but I wasn't sure if he was joking, but that part of it was seeming like he was joking. And so I wrote back and said, well, I said, you are worth it, sir. And, I'm interested in helping you up. I just, I said, I hope I didn't really upset you. I just wanted to give you my full undivided attention. And he writes this other text and, again, the same kind of weird vibe. And so then I call him on Tuesday and I said, so tell me about this shelter. And he starts talking about, what it is. And he says, it's this shelter. It's called Tempura House. And it's a shelter for lightly battered women.
Hey man, and I'm the last person on earth to take issue with a good pun. So
I sit here and he says all that so I can give you that fucking punchline. I said, are you kidding? And so literally, and I said to him, well, personally, I like heavily battered, and if preferable, I like beer battered. Beer battered women are better. Anyway, he's like, he basically said that he had heard this joke last week, and he wanted he said it's this whatever joke, a fucking irreverent and politically incorrect joke. And he said, I don't know anybody else who I could possibly share this with and just laugh, because he was literally said he was laughing the whole time. Yeah. He said, I want to tell you two guys.
It's funny.
Right. And so, but I was like, this whole like crazy back and forth, literally for this fucking joke, for like 4 days, I'm doing back and forth with him with, And so anyway, then we keep talking for a little while, and he asks me the question that I was kind of expecting, but not completely expecting. I wasn't sure if he'd bring it up or not. He says, so what'd you do with the photos? And I said, you know, and I'm thinking to myself, yeah, it's been 3 weeks. You know, he'll probably get a kick out of it. You know, the fact that the antique shop, you know, worked him and fucking, you know, fucked him over, you know. And so I said, I got a funny story to tell. I guess a funny story for you. And he starts getting nervous right away. He starts getting nervous on the phone. I said, no, this is funny. He said, what, you forgot them? Did you leave them in I said, no. I said, just shut up and listen. I said, so when we got the photos, you know, we realized we didn't have, like we said, I didn't have room to figure. I told him the whole story. We didn't have room for it, so we decided we'd take them out and put them in an envelope or something, and that we'd have them, you know, and would get new frames when we got back to our homes. And we opened them up, and they weren't real. I said, what do you mean they weren't real? I said, they weren't real photos. They were from a book.
Like wrestling is not real.
It's you know, you were kayfabed.
and these given to us, by the way, is, you know, a magnanimous gesture, like a gift.
Right,
like, hey,
right.
I have these. They're cool. I know you guys are into wrestling. I'm not really hanging them up. Have them. And you know what? Try to sell them, he said. I'm like, okay, I'm not going to try to sell them.
He does force this like weird little like try to sell them, you know, and like let me know. Make sure you make me copies first, and da-da-da-da. And I said, but they weren't real. They weren't real photos. Like, you can get them off a fucking bookshelf. He said, well, what'd you do with them? I said, well, you know, I kind of threw you under the bus. I said, well, I gave him a jack. I gave him a jack. I know I totally threw you under the bus for this one, so I apologize. You know,
we left them in the hotel. They were pieces of paper from a book.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, just from a fucking book. Like I said, Jack has the book. Like this wasn't a special. These aren't special pictures. And he said he didn't believe me.
That's right.
He thought we'd fucked him over out of some kind of profit that he would have gotten, even though he gave them as gifts. And
hey, man,
I said,
workers think everyone's working.
I know, right? Seriously. And so I'm sitting there I'm like, and again, he's in this weird place where he's joking, but at the same time, he seems really pissed off.
Yeah.
And he's saying things that are not, like, he'll be kind of really irritated and then joke about it.
Right.
Really irritated and then joke about it. And so I said, I'll look back at the text. Remember what I said to.
He turns out to be the most pro wrestling person we met all weekend.
Seriously, like it's really hilarious. So, he eventually says, "I'm going to call Jack." I said, "Don't do that." I said, "Jack's got a real job, unlike us. Okay, you know, he has a real 9 to 5. Like, he doesn't usually take phone calls at work. Just don't bother him at work, please." And I said, anyway, the pictures were fake. They're not real pictures. He said, so what? I said, Danny, the guy at the antique store fucked you over with these pictures. Like, you paid for bullshit. And he says, he didn't fuck me over. I paid $5 for these photos. You fucking me over.
Yes.
I'm like, what are you talking about? How am I fucking you over? He said, I said, you can't even, I said, they're not real photos, but you can make real photos from them. I said, what? What do you make? Danny, they're worthless. They're worthless fucking photos. And he keeps saying he wants me to stay on the phone, by the way, when he calls you. He wants me to stay on the phone. And I said, I'm not staying on the phone. I'm not being part of this. Like, because I don't know, how did you get your number? Did you give him you give him your number?
I don't remember doing that. Maybe I did. Don't remember.
I mean, I surely didn't give him your number. Even if he'd asked me, I would not have given him your number. Because I was like, this is, dude, you're flipping out over fucking a magazine page, you know?
Yeah.
And
well, he didn't believe us. He thought that somehow.
Right. And so when he starts calling you, I hang up. I'm like, I'm not part of this. Fuck this. Fuck this. And so then he calls you. And what happened?
Yeah. He gave me the same story, you know, that I think you made off with the pictures and made money off of them. Because, you know, there's all these wrestling fans at a convention. If you don't know wrestling, you think, like, somebody would actually buy it. And
even if, so what? You gave me the fucking pictures. There was no deal.
Well, it turns out, you know, some people, they only think transactionally.
Yeah.
You know, if I can get money from you being your friend, I'll be your friend. If I can get money from you being your enemy, I'll be your enemy.
Right.
It's fine. But I think that my take-home point of the whole thing was what I said. Is, like, you know, you think these guys are the workers, right? These pro wrestlers who make a life, like, kind of with sleight of hand, a wink-wink, trying to turn everything into a payday and, you know, kind of team fake nice, you know. And
yeah,
turns out that the gene for working extends long beyond the business that we like to think it's contained to sometimes here. As pro wrestling fans. So.
And let's also say too, you know, he was so excited about coming and being a part of our live show, and when he gets there and he's there for 15 minutes, he says, "No, fuck this, I'm out of here."
And with that, we're out of there too, because SummerSlam 2005 is before us, fans, and this is this is a doozy. Now that Boss Man has issued receipts here on that Lapsed Fan Wrestling podcast, we're not above it, and folks ought to keep that in mind. If they ever step to the throne.
Fuck the Sandlot.
So
I'm not watching it now.
Boss, let's start with Shawn Michaels' book.
Oh, we're starting big.
But let's not start with Shawn Michaels' book because he addresses the 2005 SummerSlam. Because he does not in his book.
Really?
More because the narrative ends before we get there. The book ends with his match at Kurt Angle at WrestleMania 21 in March of 2005.
Okay.
And it's pretty much... It has to already have been at the printers by the time the Hogan stuff gets agreed to. So that's just a circumstance of timing. But I thought we'd do this because it gives us a glimpse into the Hulk Hogan that Shawn Michaels observed coming up in the WWF and the Rockers in the late 80s and throughout the 90s. And you got to think his views are fairly unfiltered when he writes this thing, because he doesn't have a program on the table with Hulk Hogan. And shit, even when he did, he went in on him harder than he probably would have, even from afar. But I think it'll lay a nice foundation into how Shawn Michaels thought about Hulk Hogan before it was time for them to do business together in a rather unpredictable way in 2005. So, here we go. He's talking about where he was at in the business and coming into the WWF. Talks about kind of, you know, how his appeal contrasted to Hulk Hogan's. He makes a big deal out of, I guess on occasion, Hogan would work the middle of the card so he could get out of the arena. And then the show closer would be the Rockers in Tully and Arn or some other teams. And so, like, you know, Shawn, and looking back, would be like, hell, we closed shows that Hogan was on. As if, like, that's not completely disingenuous to suggest that, you know, they were just as important to the machine back then.
It's the same. It's such a click thing to do.
Yeah.
You know, it's like Nash talking about how they're changing the business while nobody's making money.
Right. Well,
you know,
all indications are that, you know, people are just saying, hit me back up when you've got someone in the ring that I actually care about.
Right.
He writes, our first few months there, we worked, it was actually, pardon me, it wasn't Arn and Tully, it was the Conquistadors, the gold-masked Conquistadors that they worked house show closers against.
Love them.
Our first few months there, we worked a lot with the Conquistadors and had really good matches. In less than 2 months, we were going on last at a lot of the shows. Normally, the main event would go last, but Hogan always wanted to go on fourth so we could get back to the hotel while they still had room service. Both of us were pretty low on the card.
Get that steak, dude.
Oh, he's got stakes. He's got stakes in the company. About 10% if you actually break it out overall. Both of us were pretty low on the card, however, our matches were exciting.
There are two kind of steaks that I like, brother. And I like the, I like a T-bone steak, dude, and then I like 10% steaks, dude.
Yes, he learned from the best. That is to say, Vern. We were like a traveling caravan of gypsies.
And 10% chops, dude.
Well, Shawn issues some chops in the match itself. We were like a traveling caravan of gypsies coming through airports, and with guys like Hillbilly Jim, One Man Gang, and the Honky Tonk Man, we certainly turned a lot of heads. Hogan and Savage...
Were they dressed in their costumes?
Yeah, they were dressed like gypsies. That's what he's trying to say. Hogan and Savage would get stopped by fans asking for autographs. I'd see that, and hope there would come a day when people would stop me and ask for my autograph. The top guys also flew in first class and were sitting there comfortably while we shuffled into coach. That was another thing I wanted someday, to be one of the guys flying first class. You starting to see here, you know? He's not holding it against Hogan, but he's taking mental notes that this is what it looks like to be taken seriously.
Or these are, you know, this is what, or in a way, this is what matters.
Right.
You know?
Right. These are the trappings of being a top guy in the business.
Right.
And not only the accommodations on the road, but also the accommodations by Vince politically. And the degree to which you can basically, you know, throw a tantrum if something that might scale you or define you down a little bit is on the booking sheet, and get your way, get out of it. So you got to think of him observing Hogan, how he got to the position he was in, how he stayed in the position he was in and made the money that he did. And then when his time comes in 96, 97, 98, you got to think subconsciously he's trying to play those same tricks. That's who he learned from. And how much of a trip must it have been for 2005 to come around, and now he's jousting with that same political animal to not come off as second fiddle when they work a match at SummerSlam. And what a lesson in political gamesmanship this turns out to be, because as much guile as Shawn Michaels thought he had, as closely as he may have been observing coming up in the WWF, when push comes to shove, no one trumped cards like the Hulkster.
Damn right.
And the Heartbreak Kid was left pouting and basically, I'll say figuratively, throwing a tantrum of his own after the lights went down in
But I thought he'd seen Jesus.
That created a lot of challenges too.
Yeah.
How to keep up the whole Christian thing while at the same time revert back to the pilled up Shawn Michaels mentality.
I believe in the big man upstairs too, dude.
You talk about it all the time,
There's
Jerry.
always been, brother, always been on my side, dude.
One day,
I get Shawn Michaels, brother. Shawn Michaels ain't going to get me, dude.
We'll get to that, Terry. Believe me. He's thinking back to like 91, 92 now. Back then, we would tape 3 or more television shows on the same day. Vince would set up an office so that anyone who wanted to talk to him could do so. There'd be a long line of wrestlers at every TV waiting.
I mean, I picture, you know, the offices they set up, you know, in the TV shows. Like, remember when like Regal would set up his office as the commissioner?
It's
of
these
Raw?
false collapsible walls.
Right. You know, it's just hilarious. Like, this is what I picture. I picture these false walls with this weird decor inside that makes it seem like it's a traveling office, but in reality, it's not.
No, it's just like
a bullshit set.
It's a broom closet in an arena somewhere. Right. So there'd be a long line of wrestlers every TV waiting to get their few minutes with Vince so that they could complain or suggest ideas. Vince would listen, say your idea sounded good, and then somehow explain how it wouldn't work. But he did it in such a way that you'd come out of the meeting feeling good and being in complete agreement with him. Later it would hit you. What just happened? How did he do that? So you'd take the next couple of weeks to rethink your argument, and at the next taping you'd stand in line and the same thing would happen again. You weren't going to outwork the master of working.
Well, you see, the thing is that, you know, we've got some ideas for you, and we want to bring you in, and we want to have you do some fantastic things, and we're gonna probably give you. We've been kind of throwing around an idea about doing a singles push eventually, but you know, just now's not the time because you've got this commitment with Jannetty as the Rockers and
Vince,
the thing
it's 92.
Well, right.
I haven't been with Marty since
right, but so you're working you're working the houses with Brett.
That's what you meant to say. I got it. Okay. Yeah, you just mixed up Brett and Marty and mixed up partner with opponent.
You know, like in fans' minds, it's the Rockers versus the Hart Foundation. That's what I'm trying to say. The fans' minds.
Oh, okay.
And really,
nice recovery there. Nice recovery.
the thing, Sean, the thing is, you gotta, we're gonna give you the Intercontinental title eventually, but you're just gonna kind of go through the motions a little bit. You kind of have your thing with Brett. Brett's gonna win these ones, but and you're gonna have this weird, you're gonna have this match with Martel, and you can't win that one either. But here's the thing: eventually you will win. And when you do win, because you're a heel, it's going to blow people's minds. And people are going to hate you even more. And that's what it is. The more you lose, the more you gain.
Yep, that's where it started. And that's exactly it. You leave a meeting like that thinking, all right, we're going somewhere. Wait a minute, where are we going? I'll get him at the next taping. Sean continues, one day I was standing in line. I really wanted to tell Vince about my passion for the business, how badly I wanted to succeed, and that I wanted to know what I had to do to succeed. There were a couple of people in line ahead of me, but I couldn't wait. I had seen Hogan and Savage ignore the line countless times and go up and knock on Vince's door and go in. I decided I would do the same thing. I walked past the people in front of me, knocked on his door, and asked for 10 minutes of his time. He said, okay. What do I have to do to make it? I asked. I want to be one of your guys. I want to be one of those guys that's in everything. I believe I can do this. I'll do whatever I have to do to get better at it. Just tell me what it is I need to do, and I'll do it. If you want me to work, I'll go work. If you want me to do something else, I'll do it. I'll never say no. I want to be on top. Tell me what I have to do, and I will do it.
All right.
He sat there and nodded his head and said, you just did it.
Well, I'll tell you what you got to do.
Yeah.
You to teach me the ways to be cool. You hear me? You teach me to be cool, and you and I can fuck over Bret Hart in 5 years. You wait 5 years, pal, and the world's your oyster, and I'll kiss your ass.
And that's it. So, yeah, again, picking up signs from Hogan. He goes back to January 23rd, 1989. Arn and Tully beat us at Madison Square Garden. Tully pinned Marty after Arn had knocked Marty's leg out as he was attempting to suplex Tully. The loss didn't matter because we really tore that son of a gun down that night. When we came to the back, Hogan looked at all of us and said, how am I supposed to follow that?
Yeah, dude, brother, dude, that's not cool, dude.
Well, no, he writes he wasn't mad. He said it with a complimentary tone, and we were flattered.
Yeah.
I'm not mad, brother. I'm just,
dude, I'm not mad, dude. Just, wow, I gotta
Jesus,
up my
brother.
game, dude.
Mm-hmm.
That's wow, dude. That's great. That's great.
Congratulations, guys. They leave the room. Hogan turns to Ed Leslie and says what?
Gotta kill those motherfuckers, dude. I want you to go out there, brother. Dude, what I want you to do, I want you to go to what the fuck's his name, dude? What's that kid's name, dude?
Shawn Michaels.
What?
Shawn Michaels?
Who? Oh, that's his,
Mike Jones.
What? Virgil?
On that cast.
Dude, what you gotta do? What I want you to do, brother, is I want you to go get a lead pipe. Right, dude, I want you to get a lead pipe, okay, brother Brudai? And what I want you to do is I want you to go into their dressing room. I want you to fucking whack him in the knee, dude.
He wasn't mad. He was complimentary. Little did Shawn know.
I don't want that Shawn Michaels bullshit kid, dude. I don't want him one-upping me, brother. Ever, dude. So you go in there and you fucking whack his knee, dude. I'm keeping my belt, brother.
Terry, I don't think they're thinking about having him challenge for the belt. I mean, that was just...
Shawn Michaels not getting my belt.
I wonder why they had heat later on. I wonder why it was hard to come to a meeting of the minds in 2005.
My belt, dude.
Yes.
I'm Hulkamania, brother. Not Michael Mania, dude.
The camera then pans kind of through the wall to catch Shawn on the other side with his ear pressed up against it and a sad look on his face.
He totally Leno's Hogan here.
Then he fast-forwards to WrestleMania 9. The big issue surrounding this Mania was the return of Hulk Hogan. Bret was the champion coming into the show, and he was wrestling Yokozuna for the title in the main event. What was going to happen was Mr. Fuji, Yoko's manager, was going to throw salt in Bret's eyes, which would allow Yoko to pin Bret. Hogan was then going to rush out and try to...
Chances are, Sean, we've all seen it.
Yeah, no, he's basically Assuming we've only watched Shawn Michaels matches our whole lives.
Should give you a fucking blow by blow while you're at it.
Yeah, I watched you in Tatanka and then I shut it off, Sean. Hogan was then going to rush out and try to explain to referee Earl Hebner what had happened. Fuji would then challenge Hogan to get in the ring, blah, blah, blah. Brett told me he was upset with the situation, and I told him that his anger was justified. He had been out there pulling the wagon for 9 months, and now that it was big payoff time, here comes Hogan to snatch it.
9 months.
6
months.
Yes, just about. September to March. I recognized that that's business, but I agreed with him that it sucked. As performers, we can only control ratings in houses so much. Here we go. We were given characters and storylines. Today we are even given words. And all we can do is put on the best performances we can. Now Hogan was going to come in, get a huge payday for WrestleMania, and then just work occasionally at big shows. Sounds like the seeds are being planted for almost every promo he cut in the run-up to SummerSlam.
Yeah.
Brett would once again be working his tail off 250 days a year. From my perspective, he should have got the big payoff.
Well, so should that's what Kevin Nash says too. You know,
that's what everybody besides Hogan says.
Brett screwed up everybody. Brett screwed everybody, according to Nash.
Mm-hmm.
Well, he fucked everybody over, dude. Brett just makes it all. We can't negotiate. Brett's working at a lower rate, more days, lower rate. The fuck. It's not about you, man.
Yeah. Motherfucker, it's not about you. Why do you always preface things with motherfucker for emphasis, Kev? That's my question. So, let's go to 1996. It was Pat Patterson's idea to have Brett and me work a 1-hour Most Falls Wins Ironman match. Whenever he thought of or heard of a good idea, he would also get so excited. People go crazy. They'll love it. You'll tear the house down. I was psyched because I would finally have the chance to go an hour in a singles match, and because it would be a real challenge to keep the fans interested for the entire time. Most matches were pretty short, with lots of high-risk maneuvers. To pull this one off, Brett and I were going to have a great wrestling match. The challenge was huge, but I was up for it. When I won the title, I wanted people...
Define short.
I know. Yeah, like, most of your matches on pay-per-view were like 30 minutes, Sean.
Right, at least 20.
Everyone has to just sit there and, let you just empty your arsenal and then be gone for 4 more months because you're healing whatever injuries happen in the course of doing that. When I won the title, I wanted people to say, he's the champion because he is the best. I wanted to be the Ric Flair of this age. I knew I would probably never be the huge marketing draw like Hulk Hogan. But that was fine. Was it fine, Sean?
I don't think so.
I studied the look on your face in the run-up to this match. I studied the look on your face when you came out on Raw the next night and cut the promo that sought to usurp and undermine what had happened and mock what had happened. Are you sure it was fine? I wanted to be respected by my peers and the fans as the best worker. When guys wrestled me, whether they liked me or not, they were going to have to admit he's the best. And no one was ever going to blow me up, tire me out. I remember years ago when I met Ric Flair in a bar. He was throwing them down. He was throwing them down like
spelled HR.
That's correct. He was throwing them down like they were going out of style. But by the time I got to the gym the next morning, he was already there, probably halfway done with his workout. No one ever tired him out. My girlfriend at this time, Themis, was a personal trainer, and she was getting me into the best shape of my life. Did I want to go an hour with Brett? I would have gone too if Vince wanted. So, yeah, Sean's telling his story. He's got the floor. He's never interacted with or crossed Hulk Hogan, really. And sure enough, at some of the most critical points in his maturation in the WWF, he's bringing up Hulk Hogan and contrasting, and constantly thinking, well, I can't be Hogan, but this is why that's good. Instead of just saying, this is what's good, and without any reference to Hulk Hogan. I think it's telling. I think it's significant.
Yeah, there's no need to bring up Hogan and being, comparing yourself as a marketing draw because of so many reasons. Because, because really, how does that affect on you? But it's like also he's been gone for 3 years in '96.
And unlike Brett, he wasn't jockeying for position with you at any time. You weren't both in the same company, trading and jockeying for that number one position. So it's fascinating. So with that context, we head into SummerSlam 2005, July 4th, 2005, Independence Day 2005. Just as Hulk Hogan inked a deal to star in Hogan Knows Best on VH1.
Yeah.
a reality show that kind of featured his and introduced his family to the nation, and then ultimately, of course, destroyed his family, because that's what American television does.
That's what it does.
Particularly if you're in this business.
That's what it should do as well.
But a lot of healthy buzz around Hogan. He's getting a lot of prominent talk show spots to talk about the show. A lot of write-ups.
Also, he had some weird. There was around the time there was a weird 80s nostalgia.
Yep.
Thing going on.
Yep.
And so a lot of these 80s celebrities were coming out of the woodwork, including Hogan. Like people were this was around the time when everyone was emphasizing. I think even he did on some weird commercial.
Emphasizing what?
Brother.
Oh, saying brother?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, certainly Sean, mocks him for that in the run-up to this.
Yeah, but there was something, he even did a commercial where he emphasized brother.
Right.
Hogan.
Right. He's starting to step into a position. He's starting to step into a skin where he's caricaturing himself.
Yeah.
And everyone, and Shawn Michaels is ready to caricature him as part of this program, but it turns out that there's limits to how far Hogan wants to allow that to go. When it comes down to actually building a pro wrestling match, that you want to keep, to Hogan's mind, apparently, the puffery out of that. You want
dude, the thing is, dude, there's a different time right now, brother, and the thing is, I've got a big thing coming up with this, with this new show, dude, and so I really don't think now is the time to really poke fun at me when I'm trying to build a whole new brand of myself, brother. So
when will be the time to poke fun of you, Terry?
Well, dude, I think, I mean, maybe after the show's kind of been on for a little while, but I think this should be kind of a more straight and narrow thing, dude. Not really
walk it down, right?
Not really making fun of me, brother, and making fun of what I say, dude. But let's just kind of just roll with it a little bit and just kind of keep it more about the wrestling and not about the about the personal. It's not making a personality attack, dude. Let's just kind of keep it about the sport, entertainment, brother.
Pretty much, you're almost there. That's exactly what he's about to start saying. So the show's coming out, and he's interested in promoting that. And so because he's out promoting that, and probably because he, wants to work limited dates for high pay, like any wrestler worth his salt wants to, he doesn't make appearances on Raw every week. So that allows him to go down the Roman Reigns, Brock Lesnar road of, he's not here, I am. What now, And I'm here not because I care about you, not because no one's offering me an opportunity to do anything else on Monday nights besides WWE. We'll leave that to the side for now. So Hogan is doing interviews about this show. He's plugging this show. He even, according to the Pro Wrestling Torch, suggests, boss, at one point that maybe, brother, to get Shawn over as the strong heel heading into this thing, you go ahead and super kick my son Nick, brother. What do you think about that? Or talk trash on Brooke Teeney, who's now going to be introduced to the nation.
Yeah, dude, I got an idea too, dude. You should hit Linda over the head with the
Yeah, so they suggest that. Shawn turns it down, according to reports at the time. He is not so into the idea of coming into this match as the strong heel. Hogan, with his real black and white way of thinking of a money program, thinks there has to be an ultra-strong babyface and an ultra-strong heel. Shawn doesn't really want to play kind of, I don't know, maybe like a dated heel character who does overly vicious and crude things to set that dynamic up. I don't know. I think it's the right call. I think they end up with a cooler dynamic than if they went down that road. But I think it's funny that Hogan still has that instinct in 2005, and still today, I'm sure.
Oh, of course.
Well, so, dude, brothers, what people really want, dude, is they want Hulk Hogan to be the American hero, avenging America and Hulkamania, dude. So I think let me run something by you, brother. Okay, what if, dude, what if we said that Shawn Michaels, dude, is really from North Korea, brother? What if you reveal that on Raw one weekend or one week Monday, whatever the fuck it's on, dude?
Did you say North Carolina, Terry?
No, dude, I said North Korea, brother. And so what I'm thinking is, what if it comes out, dude, that you're really you're really North Korean, dude. And then people are like, what, dude? No, not Shawn Michaels. He was our hero, dude. What are we going to do now? We got no heroes, brother. And then as you're kind of
in that zone of people just booing you, then we kick in Real American Dude, and I come out and I beat the shit out of you, brother. How's that sound?
It always ends up at that place with Real American playing, I've noticed.
Yeah, well, I mean that's the way to get the pop, dude.
So that would be
And
a
the
hard
draw.
no. That would be a hard no from Sean, but it's telling that Hulk is suggesting these things. And look, you can say all you want about the strong heel babyface instinct he has, but at the same time, he also wants to get his kids on television. You know, he's trying to get his family over and create a nest egg around.
What we could do, here, this is where it's going to get great, brother. What if you kidnap Linda?
Yep.
And Brooke and my whatever my other kid's name is, dude. What if you kidnap them and you take them to North Korea, brother? And so one of the episodes of Raw leading up to summer, dude, is me flying to North Korea, brother, to go get them, dude. And what if I get some of my you know, one of my shit, I can't remember the fucking movie. God damn it.
The movie? Oh, the one with
oh shit.
The movie where they make fun of Kim Jong-un the whole time? Kim Jong-il?
No. Hulk Hogan movie. Was it Shadow Warriors?
Fuck. I'm thinking Three Ninjas? I don't know.
Yeah, fuck it.
DMZ Commando? I don't know.
Oh, yeah. And so, dude, what if we hire, dude, Martin Cove, brother, Carl Weathers, and Shannon Tweed to be my seconds, and they all come out, and we have this crazy team, dude, to go infiltrate North Korea, brother, and take my family back, dude. And
I got news for you, Jack.
On Michael's, dude, and I get a pinfall in North Korea, brother. We make it an international feud, dude.
I would say that doesn't work for the Heartbreak Kid. I got a question. If Hogan's such a hero, does Sean think he's a zero? So they do a segment on Carlito's Cabana where Kurt Angle says to Hogan that he's going to make Brooke tap. So Hogan at least gets his daughter mentioned on the air. So we get to the July 4th Raw, and again, like I was saying, there's the attack on Kurt by Hogan because he makes reference to Brooke Tini. Shawn Michaels then makes the save for the Hulkster, and Shawn demands a tag match later. Shawn Michaels and Hulk Hogan versus Carlito and Kurt Angle in the Independence Day main event. And as we know, your heroes prevail in that main event. They are posing together, Shawn Michaels doing his best Hogan posing routine, and that's a novelty, boss, to see the Heartbreak Kid doing the Hulkster pose post-match.
Yeah.
And everything seems copacetic. And then, boom, Shawn kills him with Chid music. Hogan takes the big bump. Shawn stands stone-faced, almost in a trance, looking over at Hogan, and we are on our way. Do you remember this angle? Do you remember caring?
Yes, and yes. I also remember, it's one of those weird angles where you knew it was coming.
Yeah.
Because it's and not that it disappointed me, but it's like every other Hogan angle in the world. It's like,
right.
My best friend's going to turn on me.
Yes.
And so, and I didn't hate it because I was more interested in seeing the match, and also I think you and I have been calling for a heel Shawn Michaels anyway for a long time, because this babyface Shawn Michaels was just stale as fuck.
Yeah.
And he'd been playing the same fucking character for 3 years since his return. And, it was great. The matches were stupendous and everything was great, but he was just boring. And I was like, I got excited at the idea of him being a heel again.
Mm-hmm. And a heel he was. The next week, they do a Piper's Pit. They bring in Roddy Piper. He's questioning Shawn as to why he did it. Shawn super kicks Roddy Piper. He does a solo promo a week after that. Talks about how, Hogan's not here, I am. He's living in a $1 million house right now that's paid from the sweat of your brow, you, the wrestling fans, putting money in his pocket. I don't want to be a TV star like Hogan. I'm not looking to do a show like Hogan Knows Best. And then there's a small smattering of boos when he says that. He takes a pause and goes, "Oh, so you've seen it." So Shawn Michaels at his best. But we're getting, Shawn has said that Vince basically called upon the old Shawn, the shooting Shawn, the one from the 97 journey.
Yes.
Where he goes in the ring and, to hell with it if 85% of the audience doesn't know what he's talking about. The point is Shawn is shooting, and Shawn is so unpredictable that he will bring backstage drama into the ring in a wink-wink way in a promo, and we're supposed to enjoy that. So he's doing all this on Hogan. He's mocking all of the stuff Hogan does, like cupping the ear. What's funny, though, is while he's doing that, they're kind of chanting Hogan at him. So it's kind of like, Shawn, this kind of Shawn Michaels mocks everything and never takes anything too seriously. It works against lesser opponents, but I think if you do it against Hogan, I don't know, boss. I don't feel like the fans were really ready to go there with him. I feel like they actually liked Hogan a lot, that he was around and still doing matches. They weren't feeling jilted by Hogan, and Shawn was like forcing them to think about the Hulk Hogan of like 1993 all over again. And it was like, no, but we don't expect him to be here. We're actually kind of happy that he is.
Right. And and we've always talked about how Hogan was smart enough to go away and come back enough where he was valuable.
Right.
And
here's Shawn faulting him for not overstaying his welcome.
Right. And that's okay, Shawn.
Yeah.
Yeah. I remember thinking to myself, that 97 Shawn isn't so far away.
Wasn't that so satisfying to realize? Because we talked about the born again Christian stuff. He was very public and open, and the Shawn Michaels that came back in 2002 was a different man in terms of doing business. He was a different man in terms of, creating all kinds of speed bumps and drama around situations that, really didn't warrant it and didn't benefit anybody, including himself, to create.
Mm-hmm.
But it's one thing to put those instincts aside when everybody's bowing at your feet like you're a wrestling god.
Yeah.
But when you come up against a Hogan, or when you come up against a Rock, which he never really did, though he was lobbying for after the Hogan match finished, actually. He was out there talking in interviews, I believe the week before the SummerSlam match, saying that, this is going to be the biggest match of my career until I have the match with The Rock. And Rock never gave him that satisfaction, of course.
No,
Rock,
he did not.
No big fan of his.
Never will.
But, Shawn has always been so careful to not put himself in situations where he feels second fiddle. And that's what always brought that out of him. It wasn't... We talk about the pills and we talk about all that, and that, I'm sure, had an effect on how irritable and irascible he was. But really what brought it out of him was being around people like Bret Hart and others that he felt honestly fearful that they were perceived as more worthy than he was of being on top of the company. And here, for the first time really since those days, he comes face to face with somebody that directly challenges him in that way.
Yeah.
And he can't deal. I mean, I don't know. It's good business. He does good promos and stuff. And he certainly, does what he has to do on the night.
It is, but just like, you're the heel.
Yeah.
And you will be the heel.
Yes. Right. He thinks that's so perfect. He thinks he'd be the babyface.
No.
No one's going to want to see you win this match.
It's one of those weird, at this point in his career, Hogan was in Flair category. Nobody wanted to boo him. Nobody was going to boo him.
Mm-hmm.
Especially again in the ways that in the ways that he was doing, where he was just kind of coming and going and not overstaying his welcome.
Mm-hmm.
He wasn't here for more than a couple months at a time, and a big match here and there, but that's it. So it's like, don't waste your time. Don't think you're gonna. And the insecurity is what's so amazing, in that he's just like, he's a little baby.
Well, he goes right back to that place, like he hasn't firmly established his legacy forever at this point.
Right.
The comeback and the great matches he had, it's like...
Don't forget, too, that Hogan and Shawn Michaels teamed up at Backlash.
They did?
Of that year. Against Daivari and Muhammad Hassan.
Wow, talk about huge, huh?
Yeah.
So we got a little bit of a taste there.
But it's like, it's just weird. It's weird. I mean, believe me, I'm grateful for the heel Shawn Michaels, because the heel Shawn Michaels is great, and it made this match seem much more special. But these childish antics about it, like, just dude, it's Hulk Hogan. You're not gonna win.
Yeah. I really think he thought he was going to find a way to make it feel like the cool person to support in this match was Shawn Michaels.
In fact, if he had won this match, it would have been stupid.
Oh, yeah, I know. Like, come on. Like, it's a nostalgia play. It's always going to be with Hogan at this point.
Right.
Who no one wants to see Hogan get revenge at this stage of his life. They want to see him just do matches against guys he never had matches against. And that's it.
Or get revenge, but based around that idea of a program. Not a, not in a thing that you just stop it, Sean.
Just stop it. Well, he says in the promo here that we're at, he says, what you going to do when Shawn Michaels doesn't lay down for you? It's like, lay down. Like, we got to go through all this again, this fucking, like...
See, Sean.
I might not be professional.
Sean.
What?
I need the old heartbreak.
Yeah, he does. He sure does. Apparently. And he says into the camera, it's funny you say that. Right after delivering the line, he drops the mic and the music plays, but he still says into the camera, you said you wanted the old Shawn Michaels back, Vince.
Wow.
Well, I hope you're ready for it. So a lot of talk about Vince and stuff, like, ooh.
Yeah. It's not special anymore when Vince has very much been outed for almost 10 years of being the owner. It's not as cool anymore.
Right, but he's still playing the same page from 97. That's another great point.
I mean, the attitude is there. It's the
rich and powerful want us to think the economy is a line on a stock market ticker. That's wrong. The economy is powered by us. It's what we create, what we buy, what we need. President Biden has proposed bold public investments in jobs and families, but more is needed. We need housing, healthcare, caregiving, action on the climate crisis, and millions of good-paying jobs. This is our moment to finally unlock prosperity for all of us. For more information, go to prosperus.org. That's prosperus.org. The rich and powerful want us to think the economy is a line on a stock market ticker. That's wrong. The economy is powered by us. It's what we create, what we buy, what we need. President Biden has proposed bold public investments in jobs and families, but more is needed. We need housing, healthcare, caregiving, action on the climate crisis, and millions of good-paying jobs. This is our moment to finally unlock prosperity for all of us. For more information, go to prosperus.org. That's prosperus.org.
Your AC works overtime all summer, so be sure to replace your old air filters with new Filtry air filters. They recommend updating HVAC filters at least every 3 months all year round. So order your Filtry air filters today at Filtry.com. Let's clear the air.
It's the treading over the same water that's just not as interesting.
Not as interesting. You mentioned some of the mainstream media appearances that Hogan Knows Best afforded Hulk the chance to do right around this point in time. One of them was the July 28th Larry King Live, where he appears with Brooke and Nick and his wife Linda. And in talking about it, he mentions the match, and he talks about Shawn Michaels being jealous of never reaching true main event stature. He said during a radio interview during that week, quote, "There are a lot of things he'll never do. At places I went, he's never been. This is like his one shot to even the score up, his one shot to say Shawn Michaels is really the showstopper or whatever he thinks he is. And it's kind of like a jealousy thing. So at the end of the day, he can do all his personal stuff that he wants and tell everyone how great of a person he is. But as far as the wrestling business goes, brother, it was a straight-out cheap shot, what he said about me. And that's where he's coming from, the lower tier or the bottom tier, the bottom feeder position. So at the end of the day, I have a feeling that he bit off a little bit more than he's ready for, brother.
You know what? I get my instincts about this are so different than normal Hogan things. This is a Hogan where Hogan's not scared of Shawn Michaels
at all, especially with this TV show in front of him. He's got something that's going to be making him money and keeping him in the spotlight for the foreseeable future.
Plus, he's already in the Hall of Fame.
Dude, I got nothing to worry about, brother.
I mean, this guy
playing these mind games, dude. But look who they're cheering for, dude.
Dude, this guy walked back into the company, lost to Rock, and the next month they put the fucking world title on him.
Right.
I mean, if you can walk back in after all that time away and all those hurt feelings and beat Triple H and become the champion, I mean, you gotta have the wind at your back. I mean, I know that was 3 years before this, but still, Hogan knows when push comes to shove, and contractually he had some control over his finishes. You think he's coming back without that? Come on. Wow. Hogan's got the pieces in play. So Sean responds.
Hey, Sean, dude, I get what you're saying, but let me just say something. Right, I just want to reply to your. I get what you're trying to do. You're trying to undermine me. You're trying to get the fans to kind of side with you with your inside terminology and everything, brother. But let me tell you something, all right, dude. Hogan knows best, brother.
I think Sean could attest to that by the time this whole thing was over.
Yeah.
So Sean responds with a mock Larry King segment of his own on an edition of Raw.
That was a great bit there. I remember that.
It was really good. Sean dresses up like Hogan and mocks him during a fake Larry King interview, going on and on about how I've got some politics to play with Vince McMahon, brother, with this match coming up. He said,
"Right, dude, I do."
That's accurate.
Fucking hate, brother.
That hardly qualifies as satire.
Oh, dude, you're going down, brother.
For the 1, 2, 3. He makes references to how after
dude, what you're doing, I want to say that the Larry King thing, dude, is real cute, brother. That was a cute little thing you did there, brother. I'll tell you, Shawn Michaels, you've proven one thing to me, dude, that you are a guy, brother, who knows his role, dude.
Mm-hmm.
And you're going to get a job to the big man, brother. That's your role, dude.
He believes in the big man upstairs.
I believe in the big man upstairs, dude, and I believe in the big leg drop over your throat, brother.
And I believe in first-class flights while you're in coach. Sean mocking Hogan in this Larry King thing.
And here's the thing, brother. You can get in your first class, dude, and then there's going to be Hulk class, brother, which is a class all of its own that's going to have to be on special flights that I'm only going to have, brother. And there's not going to be any Shawn Michaels class, dude.
Needless to say.
No heartbreak. The only kind of heartbreak you're going to have is sitting in coach, brother.
Is when they close the first class curtain in front of you.
That's right, dude.
With that
Hulk
look on
class curtain, brother.
With that look on the stewardess's face that George Carlin once described as, maybe if you just worked a little harder. Then yank those sons of bitches closed. Yank those sons of bitches closed. On these fucking bourgeois idiots. Boom. All right, so, and the Larry King thing, he's talking about how, after I left to go some other place to get more money, they gave the ball to Sean, brother, and he works just as hard in Battle Creek as he does Madison Square Garden. So he gets a lot of yucks out of that.
Dude, that's the problem, brother. See, that's what he does. He works too hard, dude. Dude, I got to do, I got to sit there and just kind of punch and kick, brother, and I get more fans coming to my shit than going to Shawn Michaels, dude, and he's working his ass off, brother.
What's your point, Sean?
So you tell me, Mr. Michaels, dude, Mr. Heartbreak Kid, who's the smarter man, dude?
Right.
Who's making out in the long run, brother?
It's so telling.
Hey, dude, I got a cable network wanting to do a show with me. How about you? You got a reality show about you, brother?
Yeah, well, somebody wants to pay me to wear a camouflage bubble vest and hunt on television. All right, dude.
I'm gonna go fuck Bubba the Love Sponge's wife, dude.
Clem, Mrs. Clem. Because I can. That's exactly why you're gonna do it.
This is Love Sponge, dude.
And then you're gonna be recorded using horrible racial slurs, and then be brought back with Triple H and Vince standing there making the locker room eat shit and accept your apology.
Why, dude? Why?
Yeah. Why me, brother?
I'm sorry I got caught, brother. I'm not sorry what I said, dude.
He is sorry he got caught. He's sorry he got caught in this program with Shawn Michaels as well. But he got out of it just fine. It's so telling, though, boss, that when Shawn puts on the Hogan costume to mock him in this segment, his go-to place is that, Hulk shows up to a building and figures he already has your money in his pocket and performs accordingly, whereas I go out there and kill myself.
Right.
It's like,
I don't know who's the smarter man there, Shawn Michaels.
Yeah, look, right now he's looking pretty good because
you know what? Because here's the thing. Hogan does what he does, and I'm satisfied. So
not only am I satisfied, kind of waiting for him to come back so it can feel like it used to feel. I mean, just saying.
It's 2005, but I wish it was 1985. So, definitely not 1995.
Right. So. I'm not hankering for you and and Mick Foley at Mind Games, exactly. I liked it, but...
No one's bringing back Duke Drosy, all right?
Oh, come on, ref. Very unfair. So then he pretends to do then he cramps up trying to do the Hogan poses on this skit, and then he super kicks Larry King and then gets very serious. It's pretty good. He rips the fake face off, but he's look at the mustache, and he cuts this like hyper serious promo into the camera and says, it's going to get a reality check at SummerSlam, and then he super kicks the camera. Sean came up with a lot of that stuff. He talks a lot about that skit because it's often read into as him going a little too close to the bone, as if he went into business for himself on this thing. He's always very careful to point out, and talking about this years later, that he worked with Stephanie McMahon on the verbiage. She was very involved with the creative around this time, and that Vince McMahon approved it. So anything that was said in this skit, or really any interview leading up to the SummerSlam 05 match, he wants to create the impression, if it's not necessarily the reality, which I'm not sure, that everything was kind of okayed up the chain. And this was a time when every word was being micromanaged. In fact, they had more writers crawling around backstage than ever before. It's a chronic complaint. So much so, there's a great anecdote, and I forget who it was. One of the Diva Search contestants around this time was a big fan, and she talked about after she didn't make the cut, she did an interview. One of the things she suggested doing when they did a microphone challenge 1 week on Diva Search was she was going to make a Katie Vick joke. She thought it would be cute if she brought up, a storyline that shows that she actually had an affinity for WWE and has been watching for years. And the writer that she was working with and proposing that to didn't know who Katie Vick was. In 2005. Had no idea what that reference was. Yet he or she is working on payroll to create wrestling storylines.
Who's... I don't get your reference. Who's Katie Vick?
Fuck. Can you imagine having been in the business for a decade or... and this guy is going to quote-unquote produce you?
It's just not funny.
Oh.
I don't know what... I don't think it's funny because I don't think anyone's going to get what you're talking about. I'm just saying if
I don't get it.
If I don't get it,
right.
Then I don't know how everyone else is going to get it.
Right.
So.
That old trope of I'm the barometer. If I don't find it funny, it's not funny.
Yeah.
Pretty much. I'm just looking out for you.
Do what you want, but I'm just trying to make something funny. And it's not funny.
So the messaging of this program changes from the first week to the end.
Yeah.
Hogan's saying, Shawn is basically getting across this idea early. I'm Shawn Michaels for my personal and professional pride, my legacy. I just need to find out if I'm good enough to hang with Hulk Hogan, right? I need to find out what this was all about, why he was held on such a higher pedestal all these years. I got to get in the ring and figure it out. That's, pretty much babyface versus babyface stuff. But slowly,
right.
And he's talked about this in a shoot interview or two, it began to morph, and they came to him to change the direction, wanting him to be a stronger heel. I'm sure Hulk Hogan's manipulation, I'm sure ultimately Hogan's incredibly uncomfortable getting in the ring with somebody who is not perceived as his antithesis.
Well, dude, just
well,
dude, I want to talk about the Shawn Michaels.
You sound really comfortable, Terry. Terry, what's on your mind, pal?
Yeah, what is it? Yeah, pal, come on in, pal. What do you got? What do you got? What's you look concerned, or you look like you got something on your mind. What can I do you for? Well, dude, I'm sitting here thinking about this Shawn Michaels thing, dude. Yeah, it's gonna be a good program. I think I'm really excited about that. Yeah, dude, I've been sitting about it back home, down in Tampa, brother, and
stroking the Fu Manchu.
Dude, I was working out in the gym, in the house gym with Knobs, dude, and we were talking about Shawn Michaels and yeah, it's gonna be a good program. I'm really excited about it. Dude, I just don't know if Shawn's ready, brother. Terry, he's a 4-time champion, and it's only 2 less than you, and he's main evented a number of pay-per-views. Yeah, dude, anyone can main event a pay-per-view, dude. Jay Leno main evented a pay-per-view, brother. And I just don't know if...
What a comeback. That was Vince's company, first of all.
Yeah, I missed that one, Terry. Yeah, dude, I just, I'm seeing the way he's working, and he's just, I don't know if he's at that level to really, handle a Hulk Hogan. dude, really getting that main event, because when you wrestle with Hulk Hogan, it's beyond a main event. Yeah, no. Yeah, I know what you mean. I know that. Yeah. So what are you suggesting? If you're not feeling Sean in the spotlight, what are you thinking? Well, dude, what I was actually thinking about, brother, it's been a while, dude, but I've been thinking about some of the older opponents that I've worked with, dude.
Yeah.
And I was thinking maybe, let me run this by you. You're certainly the boss, dude, and I don't want to take it away from you, dude, but I was really hoping, maybe I could get that win back finally from Yokozuna, dude.
Terry, what? I got some news for you, Jack.
I guess you didn't hear this, but Rodney's dead. He's been dead 5 years now.
Well, and it was a sad day for the Mean Street Posse.
No, dude, I'm not talking about the Mean Street Posse. I'm talking about Yokozuna.
I'm not talking about Jazz's husband, brother.
No, Terry, I'm talking about, Rodney Annoy, Yokozuna. He's
been annoying you for years.
He died. He did some kind of fluid blockage or something. Heart failure, whatever it was. He died because he's fat.
Likely story, huh, Terry?
I think we can find him, dude. What do you mean find him? Dude, I don't think he's dead, dude.
You think he's working his death to avoid returning the favor?
You think? Are you thinking that he kind of like trying to avoid you or something? I'm confused with your logic here. Yeah, dude, I think he's avoiding me, brother. Why not, dude? He's got that one guy, dude. He's got that victory over Hulk Hogan, and he never returned the favor, brother. If I had that, I'd run and hide, dude.
Terry, I thought you came in here to talk about Shawn Michaels.
Yeah, Terry, what about Shawn? I think
it's a little more of a front burner right now.
I'll see what I can do about Patterson. Get in here.
What's up, boss?
Can we find Yokozuna?
What's up, boss?
Can you help Terry find Yokozuna? He's he wants to get the win back.
All right, let me call the cemetery. Here we go again.
Yeah. So what about Shawn now? I don't think we can get. I feel like we're a little, we're kind of under the deadline here in regards to finding Yokozuna. I don't know if we can find him in time to properly promote SummerSlam. So what do you think about Shawn? Well, dude, let's see if we can find Yokozuna first. Mm-hmm. And then we'll talk about Shawn.
So, yeah, I think, long story short, his eye's on the ball. He goes on Jimmy Kimmel and says, first he asked him about steroids, and he says, no, I'm not on them, but I used to be. And he says, but you're off them now? You're old and you look great. He goes, oh, I'm way off them. And then he says, they ask about Shawn. And he says, he calls Shawn Michaels the guy who tried to pick up the ball and carry it after me, and that didn't work out so well for him. But, he tried his best, and there's always been that jealousy factor from him.
Wow.
Yep. On the final segment of Raw, he goes off on Hogan and says, you've built a career on personality and show. I want you to look me in the eyes and understand this, Hulk Hogan. At SummerSlam, personality and show isn't going to amount to a hill of beans when you walk in there with the show stopper.
Okay.
Shawn in shoot interviews has said, that once the direction changed he started to get this impression that Hulk was going to go for a best of 3. Now, what I can't tell is if the best of 3 was proposed the night of SummerSlam or the day of SummerSlam when they get to the building, or if they went into that week expecting it. Clearly there was an expectation. I mean, Hogan's talked about it too on his side.
Okay.
That Shawn expected there to be a rematch, and that it died the next night when Shawn comes out and cuts the promo mocking the whole match the night before and acting like it wasn't anything to sweat, that he basically did business last night and that was all there was to it. And then Hogan was just like, to hell with this. But the basic feeling Shawn had was that Hulk backed out at the last minute on a setup in which Shawn would get the win back, and then they'd go to a cage match. Shawn has acknowledged in interviews that the whole day of SummerSlam 2005, he was, quote, poking the bear. That is to say, causing all kinds of rifts backstage to try to basically ding Hogan. He knew he was going to have to do the honors. It had been clear.
Yeah.
And but he was going to make him work for it and make him think, I guess Andre WrestleMania 3 style, that right up until the final moment that the outcome was up in question and that Hulk had something to worry about. He doesn't really specify what he means by poking the bear, but that's my best guess.
Okay.
And, he says, I always thought Hogan was a worker, always had an agenda, and I remember him telling me, that you're doing too much in the ring, and I felt that SummerSlam 2005 was my chance to say, fuck you. I never forgot you telling me that I was doing too much to ever make it in a sustainable and legacy-making kind of way. And so on this night, I'm going to prove that somehow or another I have some kind of sway over you, and that I got to your level, not only in the ring in front of the people, but politicking as well.
I mean, dude, you can do whatever you want, brother. You can go out there, dude. You can do your moonsault off the top onto the railing, dude, where you break your ribs, brother. You can do whatever you want, dude. But what people are going to remember is that I pinned your ass, dude.
Yep, true. Hogan says that Vince came into a dressing room at some point. I wish I knew when he was saying this. He's done one interview about it in particular, and says, we want Hogan to go over. This is eerily reminiscent of when he sat down with Brett and leading into SummerSlam 93 and told him, I never said it was going to be for the title. And, took back what he told Brett.
Shawn. So I've been going, I've done a lot of
I just want you to know I'm on your side here, pal.
I want you to know I'm eternally grateful.
Yeah.
For not just what you're doing here, but all of your contributions to the WWE.
You can count on me breaking out in tears when I hug you at Hall of Fame.
You can I'll tell you, you have, especially in the last 3 years, you have solidified yourself as a bona fide Hall of Famer. Hands down. Someday you'll get there.
What's the but here, Vince?
And so I can promise you that we have great things planned for you. I think we're talking about in the next year or so. Maybe a reunion with Triple H as the degenerate faction there, maybe even I've been talking with Patterson about the idea of maybe you and me doing a match together at an event, maybe a house show or something. And so just always want to know that we have things in the works for you, that the wheels are always turning, and we're always thinking of new ways to use Shawn Michaels.
Vince, I've been around a long time. Can you cut to the chase, Jack?
Well, so that brings me to tonight, and been doing a lot of soul searching about this, and we think it's best for business if Hulk goes over tonight.
Best for business, Vince.
Yes.
Best for business, huh?
Yes.
You're going to tell me that I'm going to go out there and lose to that piece of shit.
See, here he goes. This is the old Shawn Michaels. Yeah, that's good.
How did you come to that? Did you come to the conclusion it was best for business, Vince, after Hulk sat you down and big leagued you again and took the reins of your own company from right up under you one more time?
No.
You're going to let Hogan trump card you again? Walk in the back door.
Listen. There's only one trump card, and that is me. And I just, I wrote down, Patterson and I were sitting by the pool, and we were discussing the pros and cons as
this match has both
of the company. Who are the pros and who are the cons? And really, when push came to shove, the cons won this one, and
not the pros.
And not the pros.
Well, I mean, how am I supposed to?
You're a real pro. You're the best.
I don't know if it's better or worse what you're telling me, Vince, because what you're telling me now is that when you have the opportunity to make the decision, that you pick Hulk over me.
I'm just thinking about what it is Sean, let's put it in perspective here.
Bring the hammer down, Vince.
The thing is, what you've done is you've created yourself to be a heel. All right, you've made yourself out to be a heel, and we can't have the fans not going home happy.
What a weak toast excuse. That's the one you're going to go for? Weak sauce. So, yeah. Hulk says, I'm in the dressing room. Vince says, I want Hogan to go over. Those are Vince's wishes. Hogan says, if he asks me to lose Super Kick 1, 2, 3, that's what's going to happen. But,
I want you to know, Sean, dude, I had nothing to do with this, brother. I said I'll do whatever. I'll do whatever it takes. If you want me to put Sean over, dude, I'll do it, brother. But ultimately, it's Vince making the decisions, dude, and I'm just rolling with it.
So all right, Terry, did you talk to him? Did you politic him one little bit?
Well, no more than you did.
Yes or no?
Look, brother,
no whataboutisms here. Yes or no?
Let me tell you, dude. Let me tell you this, brother. Right? See, the thing about it is that what you may not understand, dude, is that Hulk Hogan definitely did not politic. Vince McMahon, dude.
Wait, you may not understand.
But Terry Bollea, might have politicked.
I did not have sexual relations with that woman. It depends what your definition of is. On a fucking cast on the conclusion of that Patreon listener request series in SummerSlam 2005. Fuck it.
Oh,
so,
John.
What?
You job tonight, you little cocksucker.
Yes.
I'm going to fucking take a chair, and I'm going to shove it down your throat.
Because what's the truth, Vince?
And then I'm going to step on your face.
Yes.
And I'm going to fuck your wife in front of you.
Because what's the truth, Vince? Since the day Hulk walked out of that door in 1993...
Here's the deal.
Your North Star has been, when do I get Hogan back? That's the beginning of the next day of my life.
Shawn Michaels. I gave you a chance.
That's right.
I gave you a chance to be Hulk Hogan, and you fucked it up.
Yep.
With your little cronies.
Yes.
And your little friends.
Yes.
And your little backstage antics.
And now here we stand. And we've got Hulk Hogan versus the guy that I chose to be Hulk Hogan, and Hulk Hogan is going to kick your ass. Now put on your fucking tights, put on your fucking boots, and job the shit out of tonight. Fucker. That's how it went down, brother. So Hulk's sitting at the house, brother, the next night. Shawn comes out, cuts the ultra-sarcastic promo, and Hulk shuts it down. He says he called Vince, and he says, I'm out. He says, I told Vince, hey, brother, your boy, that's not business. And so I pulled the plug on that deal. If it's going to be a clown show. I came out here, dude. I was all set to do a 3-match program, and he comes out there, dude, and just pulls that kind of shit. Yep. Brother, dude, what do you want me to do, dude? What he says is he expected Shawn to come out and deliver the basic line that, Hulk was the better man last night. He had the crowd behind him. It was a little more than I bargained for, but it's not going to happen again, and I'm going to prove that by challenging him again. What Shawn did was he came out and he said those words, but in a tone with a look on his face where he's like, this is the part of the program that I am legally obligated to say the following things. And he even says, now we return to our regularly scheduled program, and then turns his attention to a Chris Masters microphone confrontation. And it's just like the most dismissive thing I've ever seen on a wrestling show. It is the exact opposite thing you do if you want to continue drawing money in the program. Hogan sees that, says to hell with it. And and Shawn knows somewhere in the back of his mind that it's not going to continue from there if he plays it that way.
Right.
So it's not like Hogan's doing anything dramatic by pulling out. And, he says maybe it would have drawn, but I was expecting a one-dimensional lock-in and do business. Instead, you got the Scott Hall and Kevin Nash, ooh, I'm so afraid of you, Hulk. And that was it for Hogan and Michaels. According to the Torch, Michaels proposes a second match the next month, and it was considered, extending the paydays for both guys. And then it came down to, all right, well, who's going to win the second match? And according to the Torch, Hogan suggests winning the second match as well.
Well, what I've been thinking about, dude, is really in pushing this program forward, dude. I think that I should win. I was thinking about it, because people are going to be expecting Shawn Michaels to win the second match, dude, and then create this rubber match scenario. But what if Hulk Hogan wins the second match, dude?
There's a novel idea.
Swerve them, brother.
Yeah.
And then
I like it.
And then we have the third match, dude, and people again are expecting Hulk Hogan to do the job of Shawn Michaels, and I beat him again, and we never fight again.
I mean,
so
you joke, but I think if I'm reading this correctly, the coverage at the time, that is pretty much what Hogan says. I don't know if it's a fuck you to Shawn Michaels for trying to come up with a way to, get over on Hulk, but basically...
that's spectacular.
It's absolutely spectacular. They were going to do it in the blue cage, too. That level of detail got
Wow.
Mm-hmm. They were going to do a double finish where Hogan climbs out and technically wins, but Shawn hits the floor climbing out as Hulk leaves the door, and it's a big bloodbath, and so it's not like anyone truly loses. And so the blood in this match is seen as kind of, like a compromise. Like, all right, we'll do the thing where you bust me open and give me an ass kicking, but this is going to be a one-and-done deal, and we're going to treat tonight like all the ideas we'd come up with in a 3-match program packed in one match. And we'll talk about what we think about the actual match itself, boss, but just in general, I think it's a hell of a performance. I was expecting to watch something, just because of the legacy of this match, I was expecting to sit back and watch it all these years later and say to myself, Shawn is just dicking off to the point where he's making a mockery. And he does do that when he takes the boot at the end. Other than that, it's exactly what...
360 when he gets the boot?
Yeah, well, he hits the mat and then he stands up, stumbles around, and then takes a dive...
Oh my God!
To lay on his back. It's completely ridiculous. There's one other thing where he takes the corner and he flips out of the corner, but he did that in other matches too. So that wasn't a big deal to me, but hay was made about that. But it's like, this is exactly the kind of opponent Hogan would have wanted in 1987.
Right.
It's what Randy Savage was to him.
He's like, dude, this guy's a better opponent than fucking Mr. Perfect, dude.
Exactly. Perfect.
Great brother.
Savage. Exactly. So, I don't know. I thought it was a masterful performance from Shawn Michaels. And... The promo the next night.
Again, I feel like the thing about Shawn Michaels, what we're like in this match or in this setup, is that he's trying to outsmart everybody, but in reality, he's doing exactly what he needs to do.
Mm-hmm. Right? It's not. He
really works himself over.
Pretty much, yeah. He ends up doing what he would do, even if he wasn't trying. He ends up doing the exact same thing he would have done without trying to act like he's getting one over on anybody.
Yeah.
He ends up with the same net result and the same net praise he would get for that. And it's because of what he says the next night and the way he dismisses the match that I think historically is what sinks it in people's memories as something that was a big mockery. But when you watch just the match and you put yourself in the mindset of somebody who doesn't know about how the next night's promo is going to go and sound, you realize that a lot of the legacy of this match comes from that promo and not necessarily from what happens in the ring. In fact, on that night, you read the coverage of the match and the write-ups, people are noting some of the more comical spots, but it's not received at the time as some kind of like clear example of Shawn Michaels trying to sabotage the thing. That only becomes clear the next night in the way he addresses it. So it's fascinating nonetheless. And, the next night he comes out and says, catches in a tongue-in-cheek way that I just couldn't keep up with Hulk's catch-can style. And he's saying these things... to mock basically the bullet point of go out there and establish that, you couldn't figure out Hulk Hogan last night. And so he actually uses tongue-in-cheek phrases like that and makes a mockery of the idea that I could realistically tell the audience that Hulk Hogan outwitted me in the ring last night as opposed to politically talking about how nimble he was and making fun of how, basically indirectly making fun of how immobile Hogan was and how he had to do all the bouncing around. So that's pretty much that. And Hulk talks about this. He does a series of interviews before the show, including on a radio show called Wrestling Epicenter that's excerpted in The Torch. He says, quote, "It's all about working hard and working smart with a limited repertoire of moves and physicalities."
That's right.
He says, "Can you imagine if someone came along with some real athletic prowess out there and really could do the Rey Mysterio stuff and really think through it?" Ooh, that's heat these days, talking like that. He says, "It's a gut check, this match with Shawn Michaels. You're only as good as your last match. So if I go out there and fall on my face with Shawn Michaels without ever getting to redeem myself, it's a sad end to a 25-year career. With getting older, the knee replacement, the hip replacement, it really puts me in the checkmate position to try to rationalize, okay, I'm here. It's working. Do I need to do this? Why am I doing it? Then you hear the fans and you want to do it. It's a back and forth tug of war all the time, brother."
That's right. That's right, brother.
Yeah, tug of war to the fucking bank. That is pretty much what it is. What does Kevin Nash think? I found myself considering that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he's got both sides.
WWE.com felt the same instinct, and they went to Kevin Nash, and they posted an interview on their website with him about this match. And here's what Kev said.
The shit's fucking fake, dude.
Thanks for the quote, Kev. Yeah. Did you hear me say this is for WWE.com?
Yeah, I heard you say it. Who gives a shit? You get two guys getting paid bank. They're making bank. Yes. All right? They're headlining the second biggest show of the year. Who gives a shit about what I think?
But since you called
out there. They're going out there. They're going to have a fake match. Someone's going to get a predetermined victory.
That's so funny.
And, they're both getting a check in the end. So
he says the things about this match you could say about literally any match in the history of professional wrestling.
So I don't know what the fuck you're asking me. You call me middle of dinner.
Right.
I'm sitting here grilling steaks, some veggies, and glass of Pinot. And you're asking me about fucking wrestling. I don't give a shit.
All right, Kev, just hang up the phone. Why are you still talking? I'm just hungry. Here's what he actually said, quote, got to get a little of this. "I just pray the young guys sit around the monitors and keep their mouths shut and watch how it's done," he said.
Jesus Christ.
"If they want to see how to work and not do high spots and Chinese fire drills and just want to see how it's done, sit down and watch Shakespeare," end quote. You heard it here, folks. Kevin Nash predicts that Shawn Michaels versus Hulk Hogan will be Shakespeare at SummerSlam 2005.
Fuck, instead of doing your top rope, somersault bullshit. Watch these guys have a match that's more engaging than anything you're going to fucking see on weekly television. And they're going to do kick punch. And Shawn's going to sell.
Want to hear something amazing? Oh, and feel free to tell your friends, too. So, Kohl's, they're having a huge sale on summer stuff. And if you live for sunny days like I do, you need to check it out. I got 40% off a new patio set, Food Network grilling essentials for 20% off, and 50% off those yard games my kids won't stop talking about. Best part? I got an extra $10 off and some Kohl's cash. It almost makes being cooped up all winter worth it. Almost. Select styles, 10 off 25, offer valid May 27th through 31st. Some exclusions apply. See store or Kohl's.com for details.
The rich and powerful want us to think the economy is a line on a stock market ticker. That's wrong. The economy is powered by us. It's what we create, what we buy, what we need. President Biden has proposed bold public investments in jobs and families, but more is needed. We need housing, healthcare, caregiving, action on the climate crisis, and millions of good-paying jobs. This is our moment to finally unlock prosperity for all of us. For more information, go to prosperus.org. That's prosperus.org. Gym sessions and sweaty summer activities are back, which means more funky smells in your clothes because sweat leaves behind bacteria that causes those hard-to-remove odors. Clorox fabric sanitizer products are ready to zap the stink out of fabrics in your home by getting rid of 99.9% of odor-causing bacteria. Eliminate odors in every load or sanitize fabrics between washes with one of our fabric sanitizer products. Search fabric sanitizer at Clorox.com to learn more. When it counts, trust Clorox. Use as directed.
Just like, what the fuck are you doing, man?
Oh, yeah, too cool for school. Sorry for caring, Kev. I'll never make that mistake again. Maybe that's why I've been lapsed all these years. So, another problem Sean had, too, coming into SummerSlam? Hogan wouldn't do a practice match with him. But, hey, he did a practice match with The Rock before WrestleMania 18.
Ooh.
So what are you trying to say, Jack?
Oh, dude, what I'm trying to say, dude, is that, you're not The Rock, brother.
Yes!
That's what I'm saying, dude.
Slam it home, Terry.
I'm going to be...
Why am I on Terry's side? I didn't expect this.
That's what I'm totally surprised about. Dude, you can, I'm not going to do a practice match with a fucking vanilla midget, dude.
There's a way to turn it back around on Nash after all these years.
Dude, I'm just going to, The Rock's a main eventer, dude. The Rock's fucking Hollywood, man. Hmm? I'm Hollywood, dude.
Well, I heard Big Kev call, Malenko and Benoit and all those guys vanilla midgets all those years. I thought when I finally got to meet you again that you'd be a lot bigger than them. But, brother, you're about the same size, dude, and I'm listening to your boy.
Checked, dude, you're a little smaller, dude. Brother, your arms are a little bit smaller than Malenko's, dude, and Benoit's, brother. So, it's like,
who's the midget?
Here you get your buddy over there, dude, always talking you up, brother, as being a real main eventer. You're going to come over and join the NWO, dude, and you come over here, and I come over here and I check you out, dude, and I can barely see you, brother. You don't even come up to my cock, dude.
Quote, I can barely see you, brother. Isn't that the truth? Ultimately, and I don't know where the quote comes from, but I love it so much that I'm going to say it. It's an anonymous quote in The Torch around this point in time. Wade Keller talks to somebody in the locker room. I think it was kind of couched as a veteran source said, who assesses the Hulk Hogan-Shawn Michaels dynamic thusly at the end of the day. Quote, after all the congratulations backstage for a great match were over, and Shawn Michaels is lying in bed, it had to have hit him that he marked out for having a match with Hogan and then got taken to the cleaners.
Yes!
End fucking quote on that TLF.
Fuck it.
But that's not all, boss. That's not all of the table we need to set for SummerSlam 2005. I said this thing was bursting at the seams, and I was not.
There's a lot going on here.
Around. Welcome to the post-WrestleMania 21, post-Triple H era world, where John Cena and Batista are going to carry both brands.
John Cena?
Jean-Pierre Cena.
Jean-Pierre Cena? Hello?
Mm-hmm.
My name is John Cena.
I go over. Your time is now.
My time is now. Your time is then. Wow.
So, all right, they do the draft.
Yes.
Before this show, in June, and Cena comes to Raw. Of course, he beat JBL for the championship for the SmackDown title at WrestleMania. He headlines there for a little while. He comes to Raw. So this is the big thing. John Cena is now going to be the guy. He's on the A show with the A championship. And now that Triple H is out of the picture and not having to represent the big gold belt anymore, now that belt isn't about Triple H, now it can go back to SmackDown. Isn't that right, boss?
That is correct.
So Batista to SmackDown you go. That's going to be your show to carry. And that would be to his detriment. He ends up wrestling JBL on this show. They do a gimmick where, JBL wins a 44-minute elimination match on SmackDown to win what Teddy Long said would be the new SmackDown title, now that, as of that Monday's Raw, Batista and Cena were on the same show.
Well, let's not forget, that was the big thing, is that the draft was a multi-week thing.
Yes.
That happened over the course of a pay-per-view. At Vengeance...
Wow.
Earlier that year,
huge.
Both titles were defended on a Raw pay-per-view.
Wow. Yes, they went with that. And they went with the idea for a little while that, Batista was on Raw already as World Heavyweight Champion. Cena got drafted to Raw as WWE Champion. That's the way it was going to be. These are random selections at the time.
Yeah.
And so they pretend they're going to create a new SmackDown
so weird,
belt.
because why wouldn't you just, it seems weird to me.
It is quite strange.
Why does the belt go with the man?
It's a great question. That would have been a nice little part of the draft. It would have helped, I think, a lot to just say the title stays on the brand, and you can transfer the star power you're looking for in moving a top champion to a new brand, while at the same time not creating this ludicrous situation that only highlights that there's too many belts and that they're kind of desperate to make both shows seem even. So they act like they're going to create a SmackDown title. JBL wins this elimination match, and that's when Teddy Long announces that, in fact, there is no such title. We've drafted Batista to SmackDown. The World Heavyweight title's coming to SmackDown. And JBL, this is who you're going to face. SmackDown's about to move to Friday nights. It's just not a great time for SmackDown.
No.
And here you're getting a Batista boss who's coming into something of a lion's den, because he had done an interview shortly after beating Triple H for the championship at WrestleMania and kind of taking the spotlight as the lead player, really in the company as well as on Raw. He did an interview that wasn't entirely flattering, where he basically, I don't know, for lack of a better word, called out the SmackDown locker room as being inferior, and in fact...
Oh, I remember this.
Do you remember this?
Yeah, I remember you telling me about this.
Mm-hmm. So it really was an awkward situation for the Baptist, which I have to credit you for. I mean, he is the Baptist, is he not? Not only was he a deacon...
Whenever he works, I always feel baptized. I feel closer to the Lord.
Oh, my God. It's so funny. So here he comes, and I'm trying to pull it here as we reach to the bookshelf again. Yes, indeed, Batista Unleashed. His autobiography provides a glimpse into the mentality at the time. So he doesn't take too kindly to it. He doesn't love it, and it starts to show, I think, in a pretty significant way. So we reach onto the Last Fan bookshelf.
Dude, it's fake.
Oh, I know, but he's
it's not real, man.
He's too young to know that, man.
Too young? He's like 50.
Well, in age, but I mean in terms of time in the business. He'd only been the top guy in the company for 3-4 months when they hit this draft button.
You think one of his friends would have said, hey, don't worry about it. It's not really a big deal.
Not too long after WrestleMania 21, we started hearing rumors that the company was thinking of changing the lineups on Raw and SmackDown. I heard they were toying with sending Hunter over to SmackDown. Well, that didn't happen, did it, boss? Curiously absent from this whole time period is Triple H, in fact.
Yes.
But I'll have you know that he's healthy. He's actually working house shows throughout this summer. And he's spending a lot of his time at WWE headquarters in Stamford, getting to know the front office staff and getting to know how the whole business works. Because for Triple H, if Hulk Hogan's going to be in the spotlight, it might be time to
take a break.
Yeah, suddenly make yourself hard to find and just work the back channels that are ultimately going to be your bread and butter for the next several decades. So that's, let's not forget that as ossifying, that Triple H power dynamic during this whole point in time in the background. And no, he does not go to SmackDown. And there were rumors about me going over. Finally, I went to Vince and asked him directly, "Are you moving me to SmackDown?" "Yes, we're moving you to SmackDown," Vince said. "We're counting on you. This is your show."
We're moving you to SmackDown. It's going to be the Batista show.
Yep. Batista down.
Smack Batista.
That's catchy as hell.
Batista down. No, that doesn't work either.
And what is the CW anyway?
The CW is the premier
championship wrestling
brand championship television network vehicle.
So you could call it a World CW, is what you're saying.
Right. That's what I'm saying. Is that you could call it World CW Network, and let me tell you, pal, you're going to be the franchise player of the new network.
That may sound flattering, but to me, it felt like I was starting over, and I walked into a locker room that didn't like me very much.
You're not. Bro, shit.
Brother? Did Vince almost say, brother? Kayfabe.
You're not starting over because you got the belt. If you're starting over, pal, let me tell you, you're starting out on top.
That's right.
Right. So, yeah.
Some of those feelings came from an interview I did earlier that year. The interviewer was talking about the competition between Raw and SmackDown, asking which brand or show was better, that sort of thing. I was a Raw guy at that point, and so I was speaking up for my show. The thing is, I did it basically by ripping SmackDown. I really put them down, pretty much ripped them a new asshole. There were some guys on SmackDown at the time who, in my opinion, didn't work as hard as they could. I dogged them out. Part of the interview was taken out of context, but the truth is I didn't say anything I didn't mean. I was being prideful, and I thought I was representing our show and saying, this is why we're better. Now remember, I had been on SmackDown. Some of the guys there were more concerned about where they were going after the show than with the show itself. There were some guys who were very content with their spots. They didn't want to move up. They just wanted their 5 minutes on TV because that was enough to go out and get them laid. Not that Batista ever considered such things.
Yeah.
I thought I was being smart at the time by not naming any names, even though the interviewer pressed me. I think I talked about guys being lazy bastards and not showing pride, that sort of thing, but I didn't name anyone by name. Most of the people I was referring to in those interviews have long since been fired. But the problem was, by not singling anyone out, I seemed to be criticizing everyone over there, which I hadn't really intended on doing. It's funny, but I don't think I realized it until... You have 3 guesses, boss. Who came up to him to straighten this thing out and speak on behalf of the locker room?
It had been Undertaker.
Ding, ding, ding. But I don't think I realized it until Undertaker came up to me later and asked if I'd said what was printed in the interview. Yes, I did, I told him. Well, that's fucked up. Why?
Well, that's fucked up.
Well, let me fucking tell you why.
Not everything's fucking about you.
I heard that one once at a meeting about the February 96 pay-per-view. And he explained, I have to say very reasonably.
Motherfucker.
That I had left the door open for everyone to think I was referring
to my yard.
And that plenty of readers would think that too. Undertaker was very good about this because he could have been a total asshole, but he made me understand what I'd done wrong. Are you telling me there's not guys on Raw like that? He asked. Yes, there are, but we weren't talking about the guys on Raw. We were talking about SmackDown. I was just thinking about being competitive. Dissing us and being competitive are 2 different things. You were dissing the company, not SmackDown, Undertaker said. I don't have his exact words here. It happened too long ago, but his meaning was pretty clear. Even though we're on different shows and we're competitive, we're still part of the same company. Everyone in WWE has the same goal. Putting someone down in the media pulls the company down. Vince, what do you think? Are we the same company? Or aren't these brands supposed to be so distinct that they're different companies? Is Undertaker right or wrong here?
Well, I mean, the thing about what he's saying is that yes, in a technical term,
yeah.
We are one company. We are one giant family corporation. But like many companies, it's more of a like the WWE is the overarching umbrella, and what we have underneath are separately promoted and created brands that represent the WWE, but are their own individual flavors of entertainment. And so,
is he right or wrong?
We've got to. What I'm trying to say is that we have the umbrella company, and underneath we have 2 different genres of entertainment. We got the Raw genre, and we got the SmackDown genre, and it that's what I'm saying.
Someone doesn't want to take sides here. If you have something to say or you want to light some fire under our asses, you go to the guy and tell him, Undertaker said, directly. That's what being a leader is. Okay, yeah, walking up to someone in a wrestling locker room and saying, "Hey, you aren't motivated, brother. I've been in WWE for 3 years, and you're not motivated enough for me." Bring this shit up in the locker room, Taker said. Don't go to the goddamn press and put it out there. We get all these guys who are very talented and working their asses off and who think you're dogging them for no reason. You're just setting yourself up to be a target. I've noticed this a lot, boss. When there's locker room gamesmanship, it's always, hey, look, I don't have a problem with it. I'm just looking out for you because you're about to get a lot of heat on yourself. Whenever you hear that, guys, that means I'm going to have heat with you. The person
I don't have a problem with you, all right? What I'm trying to say is that there are guys here that will have problems with you. So
bullshit.
So, just...
don't be projecting. Don't be projecting. Be a man and say, I'm going to have heat. Not I'm going to make sure other people are mad at you for this.
I'm not telling you can't do something, all right? That's not what I'm trying to say.
Sure.
What I'm saying is is that you have to watch your back and you have to be prepared to take ownership of your actions.
It was good advice, Batista writes. The whole incident was part of a learning experience about how to deal with the media. I didn't understand how the press might twist your words around just a little bit, or not add in a question, or take part of your answer and put it in the interview. It's hard to be careful about the little parts when you're focused on the whole. I think I'm a little better with it now, but of course the damage had been done. That conflict was definitely playing in the background when I went over to SmackDown. Another hint that didn't help was my relationship with Hunter. There are a lot of guys in the company who don't go for him, and if you're his friend, they take it out on you. He warned me and Randy about that before we started riding with him. I don't want to name anybody personally, but at the time we had a few of the old veterans who believed highly in hazing and giving rookies shit. I wasn't a rookie anymore, but they didn't think that the guy who's only been in the business a few years should be champion, and they made that pretty clear. Something's telling me Hardcore Holly. I don't know what, boss. It was very hard for me to start over there. I think things have changed somewhat since then. I think I've earned some guys' respect. Vince once said to me, "You're going to get a lot less problems from guys if you're putting asses in seats."
That's right.
Which is true, though even then there can still be an undertone of resentment. But I think for the most part, people know that I'm not an ass. I have the same goal as they do. I want our show to be number one. I'm very prideful about SmackDown. I hate to hear that Raw has higher ratings than us. It's a matter of pride. It's so funny that these guys buy into that shit. It's like, guys, 4 years ago, they were the same show. Like, who's shitting who here?
Right.
We want to create competition with the locker rooms. And these guys buy into it, you know? They think they're on a team. They think anyone gives a shit what show they're on. It's like, do you make me care or not?
No, nobody cares.
People have asked me why I think Vince decided to make the change in the shows. I think there were a number of reasons, but I don't think the controversy about my comments had anything to do with it. I don't think he thought there would be more heat because of them or anything. I do think he thought it would be good things for the show, and that John Cena, who came over to Raw from SmackDown, would be good for Raw. I also think that the move was intended to get me a whole new range of opponents. You know, really, I had started with Hunter basically at the top. There wasn't that much else for me to do but work my way down. I don't mean that as a knock on the guys who were there. I'm looking at it from the viewer's perspective. Here he goes again. I think from their perspective, I would have had no place to go but down. That would have diminished the character I'd worked so hard to create, and everyone around me had worked so hard to create.
Did you work so hard?
Yeah, I don't really know how hard you work, brother. It seemed like every time you worked real hard, you ended up tearing your fucking bicep off. It had to disappear for 8 months. I actually would ask you to work a little less hard so you can actually be around.
Please.
Put me on SmackDown, though, and it's like starting from scratch. I got a whole new bunch of guys to work with, and it doesn't seem to the fans that I'm going backward. My first feud was with Bradshaw, JBL. Ding, 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 ding. What he doesn't mention is that he was originally penciled in to face Muhammad Hassan for the world title at SummerSlam.
Really?
Did you know that? Yes.
I did not know that.
We'll get into it a little bit more. It probably, writ large, considering how much there is to talk about in SummerSlam 2005, a story for another day. But Muhammad Hassan's complete absence from this show, believe me, has a rich backstory to it, and we'll talk about that.
I'm sure.
So JBL, like always, is the second choice, but due to circumstances ends up in the main event. There's a whole generation who are going to know him as a commentator and even a financial advisor, but John Bradshaw Layfield has had a great career in the ring, blah, blah, blah. You would think two big guys like us, the matches ought to be great, but for some reason we didn't have very good chemistry. We were like oil and water. We struggled, and I could never quite figure out why. I almost think that sometimes you get a much better match when you have a mismatch between the wrestlers. You know, a bigger guy and a smaller guy. We're contradicting wrestling styles. I have more of a brawling style, and so does JBL, so maybe that was the reason we didn't quite click. Hey, maybe. It said he's not a good worker. I mean, he's not a bad worker, but he's not an exceptional worker. We tried, but it just didn't take off. Not to say we didn't have tons of fun. I'll tell you, he's a funny son of a bitch to work with. You get him on a mic, and he's very entertaining. He's funny even when he's not trying to be. One time he'd been on vacation somewhere for a week or something. I swear while he was gone, he put on 20 pounds. He came back, and we were doing our match. I went to lift him up for a suplex, a move where you pick your opponent up and drive. I can't even read that. He thinks anyone's reading his book who doesn't know what a suplex is. Come on, man. It's a mainstream book. I see it more as something that, you know, is a life story that anybody can relate to. Coming from Washington, D.C. and being Filipino and poor or whatever the fuck and having a lesbian mom. Like, okay, I'm bored. Tell me about behind-the-scenes wrestling stuff.
Yeah, I mean...
How about that? How about that's why I'm reading your book?
That's, I mean, right. I mean, you know, great. Celebrate your lesbian mom. No problem with that, but... You know, maybe a little bit of wrestling.
Thanks, boss. Perfectly delivered. I started straining right in the middle of it. 20 pounds can make a hell of a difference. You're heavy, I told him. I've been on vacation. Been on Fox News, too, Michael. Anyway, we went through with the move, and I got him upside down, and we're starting to fall, and he just started yelling at me, I've been on vacation. Take it easy. I've been on vacation. I hit the mat and started laughing. Batista, on this period of time in 2005.
Jesus Christ.
There was talk and buzz going into the show that, shit, wouldn't this be a great place?
Buzz was here?
Yes.
Buzz.
Wouldn't this JBL Batista match, which of course looks so weak on paper, wouldn't just the ticket be Brock Lesnar's WWE return?
Oh, I remember you teasing me with this shit.
How'd you feel?
I mean, this was it. This was the dream match.
Batista and Brock.
This was the dream match. Yep.
Why?
Because these were two guys that both kind of came up around the same time, ish, right?
Mm-hmm.
And
both in OVW at the same time.
Both in OVW. They had a match in OVW.
Yeah, I think they did. You're right.
And it's just like it was one of those. It still is kind of one of the last remaining dream matches. And I mean, the idea of the two of them, like I always imagined, Brock coming out of nowhere, F5ing Batista, and then disappearing for a while.
Mm-hmm.
And then
wow,
it just doesn't happen again. And it builds up and builds and builds, slow build until WrestleMania.
Yeah, what a different world when we looked forward to Batista Brock, huh? But it did. It felt like it would have been nice at this point. It would have been like a fun dynamic to have.
Yeah.
And the reason that was a hot rumor coming into the show was because WWE.com, which was in full, let's beat the internet to breaking stories mode, was posting all kinds of stuff that was happening behind the scenes to get ahead of it. And one of the things they posted was that after Lesnar, of course, left the company in 2004 to try the NFL and other exploits, he was back at the table, and they were talking turkey again. And there was an article on WWE.com that suggested Brock Lesnar had, in fact, come to terms to return. And you don't promote something on your website unless you're ready to deliver it. That was the running thought. It turned out that they quite often did that in this era because they were trying to be first with a story. And so Brock ultimately ends up kind of verbally, the way I read the coverage, he kind of verbally accepts terms to come back, but when it's delivered to him on paper, rejects it. And so he instead decides to go to court and fight the 10-year non-compete that they put on, ultimately winning in court. But coming into SummerSlam, even though it had been pretty much put to bed on the website that Lesnar was not, in fact, coming back, this is wrestling, and everybody thought that was, a misdirect signal, and he was, in fact, coming out during this match. Oh, yeah, because it's exactly what SmackDown needed. I mean, Batista's point in his book is well taken. He comes to SmackDown, and there is nothing there for him. It's a complete defining down, And after JBL, what did they have for him? Eddie Guerrero.
That's right.
And did that ever happen? No. We'll talk about that. JBL even said in an interview on Bite This, which was WWE.com's kind of gossip show that was hot at this point in time, that, here's the thing about Brock. The fact that Brock left, that's what allowed him to become a main event star, if you remember.
Yeah.
So he's all about Brock not being around. So in an ironic way, it's very beneficial to JBL that Brock Lesnar ended up staying on the sidelines back then. And Bret Hart was another person that people expected to be at SummerSlam. Do you remember this?
No, I don't remember this one.
We actually talked about it during the Montreal